It is August 25th, and we have finally heard the words we've been waiting for all offseason. Rahsul Faison is eligible, and South Carolina just became a legit national playoff contender. We talk about the huge news that could change the entire season right now. Locked On Gamecocks starts right after this.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. It is I've said it for a year straight, guys. Happy Monday, if there even is such a thing. And today is not just a happy Monday, but a glorious Monday because of the news we have. Before we get into the huge news about Rahsul Faison being eligible, want to say thank you to everyone making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we're a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Listen, football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Before we get started, do want to say something real quick, just some minor housekeeping. There's things I'm really excited about. This August, we are on pace to have the second highest viewed, download, listened to month in the history of the program, and very excited about that. We're also like 115 or 130 total subs away from 7,000 total. Would love for to hit that number beforehand. If we do, I will personally donate $100 to the NIL fund for South Carolina in general. I'm probably gonna do it anyway, but I'll double it maybe if we get there before the season starts. Really appreciate you guys. This has been a really fun start to the year, and we haven't even gotten into the season yet. We are getting into the season because we are now 6 days away. And before we get started, this is the mood I'm in right now. I'm going to play you a song that my sweet mom, Pastor Patty Sue, sang for us today to celebrate the Rahsul Faison news.
Oh, happy day, oh, happy day, oh, happy day, when Jesus...
Okay, well, I don't want to get into religious stuff. I know some people are maybe not be religious, but phenomenal song. Hats off. Congratulations. Claps. Round of applause for my amazing mom. I'm so fired up. I have not had that reaction to something, and I can't even tell you how long. Maybe when Allie said yes, when I proposed. Probably should throw that in there. But Rahsul Faison is eligible. The NCAA did the right thing and made him eligible. We're going to start the show there. Obviously, huge news. In the second part of the show, I do want to get into the point that I've had this attitude. I know a lot of you guys have had the same attitude, and I understand why. But I'm going to also tell you why the mindset of, yeah, well, of course they did the right thing, is not exactly, I guess for lack of better words, and long story short, very lucky that this is the ruling that came down for Rahsul Faison, not because it wasn't the right decision, but because of something the NCAA did today that is the exact opposite of what they did in this scenario. I'm so fired up, as you can tell. Let's get right into the news. Massive news came out around 4 o'clock today. And that is that the NCAA has officially made their ruling. This is a long road for Rahsul Faison. It's his 7th year of eligibility, but as we've talked about before, didn't play college football until 2022. He's only played 3 years of college football. And a lot of this also happened when he hired Darren Heitmer, a lawyer from the Fort Lauderdale area, former Florida grad, I believe. And he was very instrumental in this. He also had a lot to say this. We're going to read some of his quotes. But the University of South Carolina and the football program already released a video on social media. If you haven't seen it yet, it'll give you goosebumps. It has giving me goosebumps right now, where they just simply hung the jersey in the locker, and played some music in the background just to illustrate, like, yeah, it all finally happened. He finally heard back. Remember, this is something that they brought out in the beginning of the year, right? Like they all the paperwork was filed in January. And now I have heard from people, and I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal the source. I'm not going to reveal the source, but it's somebody that we are having on the show soon in the national media that told me this summer that there might have been some things that happened behind the scenes that, like, from his own camp that weren't filed correctly, or that's what the NCAA was saying or something. But it just became this instance where the NCAA was kind of giving the runaround for Faison. You had to wait. And then finally, the week of the game, like I would have thought for beginning of fall camp, August 1st, like something round number wise, for lack of better words, that this is when that would have happened. And it never did. And the fact that it now happened the week of the game, I don't know what it means for his availability, for how much he's going to play. I don't know how much they've already put in the install for Virginia Tech, or what they were already trying to figure out what his availability would be. I said this last week. It's probably about time to start preparing that he wasn't going to be around for this game. Didn't mean it wasn't going to be eligible for the season, but for this game, no. I did not think that was going to happen. So just massive news. Again, Darren Heitmer, his lawyer, kind of, I wouldn't say spearheading this, because it felt like this was never something that, like, South Carolina stopped pursuing and stopped like breathing down the necks of the NCAA about. I mean, Beamer talked about it repeatedly. You had the Free Soul shirts that came out last week. You had kind of vague threats that were like legal threats, like, don't make us go, bring this into a court case, from his lawyer and his agent or whatever you want to say. I mean, just a massive pick me up, and like, we don't have to go through the entire play by play of what happened. What it means for this South Carolina program, though, and this team in 2025, this makes you an instant legitimate contender for the college football playoff. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. Well, Chris, we already felt like we were that. I agree. But a lot of it felt like before you started hearing some of these, don't cuss, Chris, don't cuss, dumb blank tapes or takes from national media. Like, well, Lenore Sellers is going to have to be Superman. With Rahsul Faison and Lenore Sellers, you have the legitimate chance of having one of the best 1-2 punches from a rushing standpoint and in a run game standpoint in the entire SEC, if not the country. I do not feel like I am overreacting or being a person in the moment. And this has nothing to do with Rocket Sanders as a player. Rocket Sanders was awesome last year. He was awesome. He was so good in the run game. He was good out of the backfield catching the ball. He was instrumental in winning so many big games, especially that Missouri game, right? He's the one that scored the game-winning touchdown. We saw him all season long be a massive part of this offense. Rocket Sanders was also in an offense that had so many unproven pieces around it. Josh Simon was your main pass catcher. We didn't know what we had with Nick Harbor. You didn't have Mazio Bennett was a receiver. We still are waiting. We feel like he's only scratching the surface. This offense is so much more complete, so much more deep, and there's so much more talent now, like on there without Faison. Him being added to it, I don't feel like I'm wrong or I'm reaching here when I say I think Faison can be not much better. That sounds rude. Even better in this offense, and this offense can be even better than it was a season ago when it was firing on all cylinders. I'm not talking about the first 6 games. I'm talking about what we saw against A&M type of offense. Like, I think that's what he brings to the table. The whole very lazy take on him from like the national media when he first came in was, oh yeah, it's a kind of a scat back guy. It's gonna, home run hitter and like, dude, this guy is 220 pounds. Look at his arms. Look at his upper body. Look at his lower body. And I mean, this is a guy that is going to be physically ready to run between the tackles in the SEC in this gauntlet of a schedule. And I hope to God it starts on Sunday. And Virginia Tech better pray to God that it's not. Because this kid, he has got to be just, dog on a leash, ready to run. I mean, this guy has to be so fired up for getting this 7th year of eligibility. He's going to make it count. I am just beside myself with what the possibilities are of this offense now with him in the fold. And here's the thing too, guys, like, just because he is going to be available, now you start looking at all the other, like, you still have Attaway, you still have Jordan, you still have Jordan Howell, like you still have all these other pieces. You got Matthew Fuller, You got a Gustave or however you pronounce the name from Colorado. I mean, this backfield just became loaded. And oh, by the way, every time the ball is put in the belly of Rahsul Faison, there's a chance that the most dangerous and dynamic player in all of college football will pull it back out in an RPO and then get to the edge and either take it to the house like we saw against LSU, even though it was between the tackles, but be able to take it to the house in that, or find one of the unbelievably many talented receivers and pass catchers this offense now has. It feels like this is this type of impact. This is something when you look back on the season, I'm not saying it will happen because the schedule is tough. We know, and injuries can happen. Knock on wood, they don't, or some unforeseen crap. Maybe John Mateer is second coming of Jesus, or Bama and LSU are both actual like title contenders. I don't know. Crazy things could happen, but this very much feels like at the end of the season when you look back and you say, wait, what were the key things that happened that led to this unprecedented, memorable, historical type of season that South Carolina had? Well, probably started on August 25th when the news that Rahsul Faison was eligible came down from the NCAA. We have so much more to talk about, and we're going to get to all of it. Before we do, I do need to gotta keep a little in-house stuff. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes and what this all means moving forward. And I guess we'll just delay game week for another week or another day because of the monumental news we had today. We talk about being excited. Let's go right into our favorite ad read then. What else? If you're trying to get yourself excited, get Rugy at ready, guys. Get Rugy at ready. I'm excited about Rahsul Faison. We're also excited to talk about Rugy at ready. And guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugy at ready. Rugy at ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours and hours, Rugy's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in just 15 minutes. Effects can also last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. I'm trying so hard not to make a joke about how excited I am about Rahsul Faison during this ad read. But I will tell you also, if traditional options haven't worked, Rugy might be the answer because over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. Use the code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's rugiet.com/lockedoncollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege, all capital words, all one word, all capital letters for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugy website for full safety information. We'll be right back after this with more Locked On Gamecocks. God, I'm fired up. So what does this mean for the offense? Again, just going right back into it. And this will be the only focal point of the show today, just so everyone's clear. What does this mean for the offense? I think the biggest thing for me, and I go back to the Rocket Sanders thing. There's no part of me that's looking at Rocket Sanders like, oh, Sanders wasn't. There's some things he didn't do, but he was coming off of injury, and like you also look at the things that he had to do, where, he was coming off an injury for one. He was battling injuries throughout the year, but coming off an injury for one. And also he was in a position where he was trying to cut down on weight. And I think it helped. Like Rocket Sanders was great for this program. Nothing about me being excited about Faison or anything about Faison in general takes away from that. It's two very different backs that serve two very different purposes. The phrase that keeps coming to mind for me is like more so like a Rocket Sanders walked. So Rahsul Faison could run. That's what I keep coming back to, because it's like, man, I tell you what, you look at what he has been able to do, or what Sanders has been able to do, even his first couple weeks in the NFL preseason. He's obviously a very talented back. We saw what he was able to do at Arkansas. And again, You saw what he was able to do all last year. I mean, like listen, Faison went, or not Faison, Sellers went down early, and he also struggled a ton early on. And there were times when it was like, you watch this offense and it was like, man, you are really dependent on a couple of guys. You're really dependent on Josh Simon. You're really dependent on Rocket Sanders. Rocket Sanders, like this offense that 2024 offense without Rocket Sanders last year doesn't go 9-3. That team does not go 9-3 without Rocket Sanders. This team, I don't know what the ceiling is with Faison. I think it's much higher than it would have been. And the ceiling is already high, right? Like maybe much higher it doesn't give enough credit to everyone else. But like the floor is once again it's raised. And the ceiling is as well. And I think that when you look at like we had to have Rocket Sanders do so many things last year because that offense didn't have as many pieces. And as we get closer, I do think I don't know if Faison's going to be able to run between the tackles behind this offensive line. I don't know that yet. We haven't seen the offensive line. We know we know the struggles we think they might have in the offensive line because we've seen it for 2 straight years. But regardless, I don't think it's going to regress at all. I don't. I think it's only going to get better. I think Lonnie Teasley and what he's been able to do from a recruiting standpoint and bringing in these different players and raising the floor in that position especially, I think it's only better. But it also makes this offense so much more dynamic because this is a home run hitter. I mean, this is a guy who was clocked. Like, again, love Rocket Sanders. Phenomenal back for what we needed at that time. But Rahsul Faison, what he brings to the table is much different. This is a 4-4 flat type player. You're now looking at this offense, you're like, oh my God, I got speed everywhere. I don't know what he's like in pass pro. I'm hoping it's good. He's a 7th-year player, so he's a grown-ass man, right? But it's 4-4 speed. So if you want to start bringing a blitz and you think that the way to attack this offense for Sellers is, oh, you got to get pressure on his face or in his face and blah blah blah. One, we went over these numbers a while back for the Pro Football Focus numbers from him. He's actually better against the rush or against the blitz anyway. He was phenomenal, and he had some of the highest grade out of any quarterback in the entire SEC last year against that. But if that's what defensive coordinators think they have to do, and figure out a way to make sure that you can get pressure on him because they think he's gonna make mistakes. Screen passes this kid, hitting this kid out of the flat, while also, by the way, you've now got legitimate threats at receiver across the board. You're healthy as can be across the board. The biggest thing I think about this offense this year versus last year, if one player goes down that's not your QB, it is not going to hamstring the entire offense. That's the biggest thing. People refuse to talk about it with South Carolina this year. They just refuse to talk about it. But there's so much more quality players and depth on the offense this year that if something happens, you're not hamstrung and limited into some situation where it's like, oh man, well now we have no run game, or now who's going to step up receiver? Who's like, if Josh Simon goes down in 2024, that offense looks much different, right? Like some other kids got to grow up real fast. And again, I'm not trying to get. I almost never talk about like that side of football because I think it's bad luck, and I'm very superstitious about like injuries and all that kind of stuff. But the main point is, not only are you so much more dynamic, they are also so much more explosive, and you've got so many more weapons to be explosive. Like, he requires so much more attention. And again, Sanders is a guy that could run through you. So can this kid at 220, right? This, it's not a small dude. It's not a small dude. I genuinely think when I heard people talk about him in the offseason, it sounded like the way they spoke about him was, oh, he's just like this, scat back type dude. And he's not somebody that's like going to be physically ready. He played at Utah State, and it couldn't be more ignorant. Like this is a 6 foot, 220 pound grown man. 2019 recruiting class. He adds so much more depth and layers to what this offense can now do. And I think that, like, especially for an offensive line that I think is going to be better than people think, but also might take some time to gel, right? Like any other offensive line, like going into the season, you got a lot of new faces, a lot of new names across that offensive line. Like, it might take some time to gel. But you talk about, like, 247 Sports. 247 Sports had him as the number 2 running back in their transfer rankings, right? Like he's a 49th overall best player in the country, second best running back. And I'll tell you what, just another side note real quick. South Carolina missed Justice Haynes, the former 5-star from Georgia, I think from Buford, or no, maybe he was, I forgot where it was. Blessed Trinity, I think, maybe. I don't know. I know he's a BT at some point there, but that's a kid that left. It went to Alabama. It's a 5-star out of high school. Didn't really do much there, and then went to the transfer portal this past season. And it was between South Carolina and Michigan. I thought he was going to go to South Carolina. You missed out on him, and he goes to Michigan. You go out and get the second best kid in the entire transfer portal, and you go out and get a guy that's actually way more proven than Justice Haynes ever was. I've told you over and over and over again how good I feel about this staff's ability to evaluate talent, bring them on campus, develop that talent, especially overlooked talent. Faison isn't overlooked. He's a top 50 transfer. But you are able to go into the portal once again and get a guy that I think is going to be a high-impact player for this program. And I just feel like the ceiling on this team now, you start looking at the question becomes, and people are going to learn real quick, or maybe they won't. Maybe people will know what South Carolina is going to do offensively. Like they're going to see this really quick. That doesn't mean they're going to have a solution for it. This offense is about to be a problem. This offense is about to be a problem with Rahsul Faison in the fold, because there's so many more things you're going to have to defend. Nick Harbor can outrun everyone on the field. Rahsul Faison, your running back now, is a 4.4 flat guy. Michael Smith is 6'6", 250, and you got to figure out a way to stop him in the red zone, right? And oh, by the way, you've got the best receiving class in the country that you signed last year from a recruiting standpoint. The best recruiting or best receiver class out of the entire recruiting cycle in the country coming in last year. Brian Rowe, a guy that Chris Storing said is drawing reviews that are similar to Devontae Smith because of his build, but also his ability. Can jump through the roof. I mean, you've got playmakers now, guys. Like, that's the thing that this team has been missing for a while. You've always had one. Xavier Legette was a huge playmaker. Judas Wells was a playmaker for this team. Rocket Sanders was last year too. But beyond that, that's when you started to struggle. It's awesome. Deebo Samuel was awesome. Awesome. Like, Josh Vann was great at times in 2020, I believe. Like you've had guys, you just didn't have a ton, or anything else behind it. And now you look around, Lenore Sellers is going to walk up to the line of scrimmage and look around and read his defense, blah, blah. And if you want to zoom out further, if you're behind him, I see 16 who could be the best player in the entire effing country. I see a 4.4 flat running back that's 220 pounds that can outrun everybody in the field. I see a 6'5", 240-pound receiver that might be the best damn athlete in the country. There are athletes everywhere. This is the worst news that could have happened for defensive coordinators. Whoever the DC is for Virginia Tech, maybe I should know that at this point because it's game week. That guy is not going to sleep this week. Like, this just became so much more dynamic, so much more explosive, and capable of so much more. And the ceiling for this team, it's hard not to think that oh my God, this could be it. Like, this could be what we've been hoping to see at South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina, for so long. This could be the roster that gets you over the hump and into the promised land. I'm not saying national championship. I'm saying into a competition for it. We're going to talk about that last part and what it really means moving forward when we come back. Before we do, let's pay some bills. And also need your help with something as well. Please be kind. So we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners, make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, answer any questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey, by the way, will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping us out. Before we go to commercial and come back, also do want to give a quick shout out to our friends at FanDuel. Remember, August 26th, that's tomorrow, or on Tuesday, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, is officially FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who love to make bold predictions and have preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or just ready to crown your Super Bowl champ right now before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Take a flyer in MVP race. Maybe Spencer Rattler balls out, guys. Maybe he balls out and the Saints make the playoff. There's some money on that. Maybe you crown your champion. Is it the Eagles again? Or is it maybe the Baltimore Ravens? And the comp that we heard from Lenore Sellers last week, maybe his NFL twin, Lamar Jackson, finally breaks through and gets to the promised land and wins the Super Bowl there in Baltimore, or parlay your division winners and dark horses, whatever you want to do. But make sure you visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. We'll be right back with the final part of today's episode on Locked On Gamecocks. All right, so I want to close the show with this today. Obviously, this show is it was exclusively about Rahsul Faison. Tremendous job all around. Staff deserves so much credit. Darren Heitmer, his lawyer, I don't think it's his agent. I get so confused by all this now because of just the way the nature of this what do you call it is the way everything is. Darren Heitner. I was wrong about that. It was Heitner, not Heitmer. But this guy's involvement and his help to get this thing done, tremendous job. It's a lawyer, so legal. This is his latest tweet. Rahsul Faison tweeted on May 7th, "I have hired Darren Heitner." He just tweeted out, "I'm going to be cheering for you every Saturday. Confirmed he is eligible." This is just going through. With the hashtag free soul, that happened about 2 hours ago. He also had this to say, which I thought was very interesting. He said, "Erin Abbey is one of the best there is in compliance. I worked with her on the eligibility cases for Miles Stute and Rahsul Faison. Her hard work, attention to detail, and dedication to South Carolina athletes deserves praise from the entire fan base." So shout out to Erin Abbey, a tremendous job there. And I tell you what, this again kind of speaks to the whole thing with Beamer. And it's hard not to get passionate about this because the outside world might not get it. The outside world might think he's a goof, he's an idiot, he's a goofball or whatever. That guy he wakes up every single day and goes into that office, and the logo on the helmet and the jersey of the players he gets to coach means something to him, and that means something to us, and it means it's hard not to get passionate and excited about that. It really is. But more than anything, and something you've heard about this a lot from his own recruits, especially, and also his players, is that guy wakes up every day and goes to fight and goes to battle for his players. He does every single day. And that's awesome. That's awesome. You want a coach like that on your sideline. You want to get behind a guy like that, and he is going to succeed at this position. The other part of this is with great how do I want to phrase this? The way this happened today is huge. It's obviously huge for so many reasons, and all the reasons we already talked about. But what it also means for this program is that there's even more expectations now. And I think that this team will meet those expectations and live up to them. I do not see – I haven't looked at this yet. I don't think the Vegas line on their win total has moved at all. I don't think it will, to be honest. I think it'll probably stay at 7.5 because that's a perfect spot for it from a betting standpoint at least. Remember, the whole point of Vegas is they're not trying to tell you that's exactly what's going to be. They're trying to get even money on both sides to figure that out. Let's look at this real quick. See if the line has moved. That line had trickled all the way down to 7.5 for the what do you call it? Virginia Tech game on Sunday. So let's see if there's any movement on it. But again, the expectations obviously move for this program. They obviously move for this team. And what this means is there's so much more at stake. And it's also it's very exciting. It's not a situation where it's like, well, it doesn't mean anything if you don't win, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. The line has already moved back up to 8. Yeah. So I think that this is a really, really we're on the forefront and the precipice of a really big season. And I just get the feeling that with what happened today, I mean what I said earlier. I want to say this to you guys too, for our new listeners and all that kind of stuff. We'll close out today's show with this. I know that not only maybe y'all don't know me, or maybe you haven't followed me for a while, or maybe you just are listening to the show. Promise to you guys, I said it when I first took over. I'm not going to sit here and just like try to sunshine pump. I mean what I say. I want to always be as objective as possible. But I also want you to know that I want to be, like, more than anything, as authentic and genuine as possible. And so maybe part of that, maybe there is like an inherent little excitement or bias or prisoner of the moment with some of these takes. But I will also tell you, it does not feel like I am making a reach or making some egregious overreaction when I say this type of thing is what happens when you start seeing the dominoes fall on seasons to remember. I'm not going to say historic. I'm not going to say they're going to win a national title or win the SEC or anything like that. I do feel so much more confident going into week 1. I feel so much more confident about this team, about a team I already felt confident about. I felt that this team was 9 wins at least before Faison. It just got so much more real and so much better and exciting with him in the fold than it already was. Enjoy this season, because this is like when people say, like, I wish we would have knew in like the good old days or whatever, like 2011, 2013 were great. We didn't take them any hardware then. I don't know if we're going to take them any hardware this year, but enjoy this because you're watching the building blocks of a program that is both successful and sustainable happening right in front of your eyes. So it's game week. Let's get fired up. We'll be here all week. I appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, go Cox.